There's a lot moving behind the scenes right now for the New England Patriots, and this week is one of those moments in the NFL calendar where everything starts to take shape. The league meetings are happening, and while fans usually don't get front-row access to what goes on inside those rooms, this is exactly where the foundation for the upcoming season begins to form. Coaches, general managers, and executives all come together, not just to discuss rules, but to quietly map out the future of their teams. And when you start hearing names like Elliott Wolf stepping up to speak, you know there's real substance coming out. Wolf had the chance to sit down and talk through a wide range of topics. And even though he didn't give away everything, there were some key takeaways that Patriots fans should be paying very close attention to. One of the biggest updates, without question, revolves around the most important position on the field. Drake May is officially good to go. After dealing with that shoulder issue that raised concerns earlier, there was always that lingering question about whether it could impact his offseason preparation. But now, hearing that he's fully healthy and expected to participate without limitations changes everything about how this team approaches the next few months. That kind of news doesn't just settle nerves, it opens doors. When your quarterback is healthy heading into the offseason program, it allows for continuity, for chemistry building, and for leadership to take shape early. Instead of focusing on recovery, May can now focus entirely on development and connection with his teammates. That includes working with whatever new pieces the Patriots bring into the offense, whether through free agency or the draft. Timing, rhythm, trust, all of that starts now, not later. And that advantage can be the difference between a slow start and a team that hits the ground running once the season begins. It also avoids a scenario that could have complicated things significantly. Without May, the Patriots would be forced to rely on limited options at quarterback during critical offseason reps. That's where development stalls, and where opportunities to build something cohesive get delayed. But with him ready, the offense can begin shaping its identity immediately. You can already picture those early workouts, the private sessions, the effort to get everyone on the same page long before training camp officially kicks off. That matters more than people realize, especially for a young core trying to grow together. Another storyline that continues to build momentum is the situation surrounding Christian Gonzalez. This has been a topic that just refuses to go away, and for good reason. He has quickly established himself as one of the most promising defensive players on the roster, and now the conversation shifts from potential to long-term commitment. The Patriots know what they have, and based on everything that's been said internally, there's no doubt they value him at a very high level. What stands out is how consistently his name comes up when leadership talks about the future. He's not just being praised for his talent, but also for how he's evolving as a presence in the locker room. That combination is exactly what teams look for when deciding who to build around. And yet, despite all the recognition, the deal hasn't been finalized. That's where the tension comes in, because at some point, words need to turn into action. There's also a growing sense of urgency when you look at the bigger picture across the league. Other players at the same position are starting to secure their deals, setting the market and raising expectations. Every new contract signed elsewhere adds another layer of pressure. Waiting too long can turn a manageable situation into a much more expensive one. And from the outside, it feels like this is something that could be resolved sooner rather than later if the decision is made to prioritize it. At the same time, the financial side of the NFL always plays a role. There's a balance between planning for the future and managing the present. The Patriots still have flexibility, and that's what makes this situation even more interesting. With available cap space and a clear need to lock in foundational players, the path is there. It just comes down to timing and willingness to commit. And while those two storylines are already shaping the direction of the team, there's another layer forming in the background that could end up being just as impactful. Conversations around potential roster moves, especially involving skill positions, are starting to surface. Not everything is being said outright, but sometimes it's what isn't said that creates the most intrigue. When multiple sides respond in similar ways without fully shutting down speculation, it naturally raises questions. There's a sense that communication is happening, even if details aren't being shared publicly. That's how this stage of the offseason works. Teams explore possibilities, test the waters, and keep options open without committing too early. And when you factor in upcoming joint practices and continued interactions between organizations, it only adds another layer to watch closely as things continue to develop. And as those internal conversations continue to unfold, there's another storyline that keeps gaining traction, one that has fans constantly refreshing for updates. The wide receiver situation remains one of the biggest question marks surrounding this Patriots team, and naturally, all eyes turn to any name that could potentially change the dynamic of the offense. That's where the ongoing buzz around A.J. Brown starts to feel impossible to ignore. What makes this situation so intriguing isn't just the talent involved, but the way it's being discussed. When key figures are asked directly about it, the answers don't exactly shut the door. Instead, they stay carefully worded, almost identical in tone, reinforcing the idea that nothing is off the table. Statements confirming that he is currently with Philadelphia don't necessarily eliminate the possibility of something happening down the line. In fact, in the NFL, that kind of language often signals the opposite, that teams are keeping their options open while avoiding unnecessary headlines. And timing plays a massive role here. As the offseason progresses, certain financial structures begin to shift, and what may not seem realistic today can quickly become viable in just a matter of weeks. That's when decisions get serious. That's when front offices move from conversations to action. If there's even a slight opening, a team like New England, looking to elevate its offense, could be ready to step in and make something happen. There's also another element that adds fuel to this entire scenario. The connection between teams doesn't just happen by coincidence. When joint practices are scheduled, especially between two organizations that could potentially be involved in discussions, it naturally creates an environment where communication flows more freely. It's an opportunity to evaluate talent up close, to build relationships, and sometimes to lay the groundwork for moves that fans never saw coming. Whether anything actually materializes remains to be seen, but the setup itself is enough to keep the speculation alive. At the same time, the Patriots cannot afford to rely on just one possibility. Building a complete offense requires multiple layers of planning, and that brings attention back to the broader strategy at the wide receiver position. There's a clear understanding that adding a top-tier playmaker would instantly elevate the entire unit. But there are also other avenues that must be explored. The draft, for example, offers a chance to bring in young talent that can grow alongside the quarterback and become a long-term piece of the puzzle. That approach carries its own level of excitement, especially considering how deep and versatile incoming classes can be. Finding the right fit isn't just about raw ability. It's about how that player integrates into the system, how quickly they adapt, and how they contribute to the overall identity the team is trying to build. It's a process that requires patience, but when done correctly, it can pay off in a major way. Still, even with all these possibilities, there's one more name that has quietly re-entered the conversation, and it adds an entirely different layer to the discussion. The idea of bringing back a familiar face always sparks mixed reactions, and in this case, it's no different. When the door is left open, even slightly, it creates room for speculation, and it forces fans to reconsider what they thought was already settled. What stands out is the mindset behind that openness. Instead of completely ruling anything out, there's an acknowledgement that situations change. Injuries happen, strategies evolve, and what may not make sense today could become a necessary move tomorrow. That kind of flexibility is crucial in the NFL, especially for a team trying to find the right balance between experience and new talent. However, it's also clear that this wouldn't be the primary direction. If anything, it would fall more into the category of a fallback option, something to consider only if other plans don't come together. And that distinction matters, because it shows that while the team is willing to explore every possibility, there is still a clear priority in building something fresh and dynamic rather than leaning too heavily on the past. As all of this continues to develop, the Patriots find themselves at a crossroads where every decision carries weight. From securing key players for the future to exploring potential blockbuster additions, each move contributes to shaping what this next era of football will look like in New England. And with so many variables still in play, the coming weeks could bring shifts that redefine expectations in ways no one fully anticipates. What makes this entire stretch even more fascinating is how quickly narratives can change from one week to the next. A team can go from being patient and calculated to suddenly aggressive if the right opportunity presents itself. That's why every comment, every interview, and and every subtle reaction starts to carry more weight than usual. Fans begin to read between the lines, trying to piece together what might be coming next, especially when leadership avoids giving definitive answers. At the same time, there's a growing sense that this offseason is about more than just filling gaps. It's about setting a tone. The Patriots are clearly trying to establish a new identity, one that revolves around speed, versatility, and a stronger connection between the quarterback and his supporting cast. You can feel that shift in the way decisions are being discussed. It's not just about bringing in talent. It's about bringing in the right kind of talent that fits the direction they want to go. And that brings everything back to the importance of timing. Whether it's contract extensions, potential trades, or even depth moves, the order in which these decisions are made can completely change the outcome. Locking in key players early can provide stability, while waiting on bigger opportunities can either lead to a major breakthrough or force a pivot if things don't go as planned. It's a delicate balance, and one that front offices have to navigate carefully. There's also the psychological side of all this, not just for the players, but for the locker room as a whole. When teammates see management investing in core pieces or aggressively pursuing upgrades, it sends a message. It builds confidence, it raises expectations, and it reinforces the idea that the team is committed to competing at a higher level. That kind of energy can carry into off-season workouts and eventually into the season itself. Meanwhile, the fan base is locked in, watching every move unfold in real time. There's anticipation, there's debate, and there's that constant question of what the final version of this roster will actually look like when everything settles. It's that uncertainty that makes this period so engaging, because anything can still happen, and one decision can shift the entire outlook. And as these storylines continue to build, the sense of momentum keeps growing, with each development adding another layer to what is shaping up to be one of the most important off-seasons for the franchise in recent years, where every move feels like it could be the one that defines how far this team can go once it finally steps back onto the field. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to Patriots Hub and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest updates on our New England Patriots. And don't be shy, share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. A quiet tension appears to be building behind the walls of New England Patriots headquarters, and whispers around the league suggest something far more significant than routine roster adjustments. Sources close to the organization hint at a potential internal shift, one that could reshape not just the lineup, but the very identity of the franchise. At the center of the speculation is a rumored culture reset, a phrase that has begun circulating among insiders with increasing frequency. According to these murmurs, as many as 5 high-priced veterans may no longer fit within the team's evolving vision. These are not fringe contributors or rotational pieces, but established names with experience, leadership credentials, and contracts that carry weight both financially and symbolically. The idea that such figures could be pushed aside has raised eyebrows across the league, fueling debates about whether this is a strategic rebuild or a risky gamble. Those familiar with the situation suggest the shift is less about performance on the field and more about alignment off it. The Patriots, long known for their disciplined and cohesive approach, may be seeking a renewed locker room dynamic, one that prioritizes adaptability, accountability, and a younger core willing to embrace a different philosophy. In that context, even decorated veterans can become expendable. Still, the lack of confirmation leaves plenty of room for interpretation. Are these players truly on the verge of departure, or is this a calculated leak designed to send a message internally? Teams often use moments like this to test reactions, both from players and the public, before making definitive moves. What is certain is that the Patriots are at a crossroads. Whether this rumored list materializes or fades into off-season noise, the mere existence of such speculation signals a franchise unafraid to confront difficult decisions. And if the whispers hold any truth, the coming months could mark the beginning of a new era, one built not on past achievements, but on a redefined sense of purpose. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our New England Patriots, be sure to subscribe to Patriots Hub and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.